There really is nobody better on the issue of immigration than Senator Jeff Sessions of Alabama. Senator, how are you, sir?
Thank you, Mark. Good.
Well, now, Senator, what can I tell you? I think the entire immigration system is collapsing under the weight of this president's lawlessness. I think Eric Holder and the others in the Department of Homeland Security have sent out word, don't deport. I see now they're changing the rules for asylum. If domestic violence qualifies for asylum, I see that we have 375,000 individuals and about 277 administrative law judges, and the thing is backed up to wazoo. So this whole thing about due process in front of a judge, a lot of times it never happens. We have a complete collapse of the system, don't we?
That is exactly right. It's no way to say it other than that. I believe it's almost a systematic plan. Some of this is just incompetence or failures, but fundamentally they are not doing anything to fix this system, but are allowing step by step by step by step events to occur that undermine the ability of our law officers to do their duty, creating a lawless system that will only encourage millions more to come unlawfully in the future.
Now, you know, Senator, I knew you before you were a senator. I knew you when you were the U.S. Attorney for Alabama. When you were the U.S. Attorney for Alabama, did you ever witness anything like this?
I've never witnessed anything like this. It's stunning to me. The very idea that the President of the United States, he's directing this to his cabinet secretaries, and they're the people that are required to enforce the law. You know, Mark, the Law Officers Association, the ICE officers sued the President. They sued, or at least Janet Napolitano, for blocking them from fulfilling their duty to enforce the law. That was well over a year ago. This has been going on for quite a long time. It's a stunning failure of the chief law enforcement officer in America to fulfill his oath, his duty as president.
You know, I've seen crass politics, and you have too, and I've seen naked power grabs, and you have too. I've never seen anything like this. Have you?
I haven't either. Look, the Washington Post, USA Today, Chicago Tribune, Professor Jonathan Turley, these have all said, Mr. President, you cannot continue to do this lawlessness. Do not go further, as he says he will do by the end of the summer, and provide amnesty for another 5 to 6 million that Congress explicitly refused to do. They've told him don't do this, but he seems determined to go forward anyway. To me, as you are suggesting, this is an absolute threat to law, but it's even more an opposition and a refutation of the American people who by overwhelming majority reject this kind of thing. And the president's determined to do it anyway. And I think the American people have got to hold their members of Congress accountable, and they've got to demand that they not only say they're uneasy about it, but actually take steps to stop it, which we can do.
Well, I wish you could do it, but it seems to me the president is acting like a soft despot here, and he's going to do things that really have never been done in American history. The court opened the door widely to him with that ridiculous 5-4 decision involving the state of Arizona and, quite frankly, Alabama and South Carolina and some other states, too, when it essentially said, you know what, the president has maximum prosecutorial discretion. Well, of course, Obama hears that, and he slams the door wide open and he runs through it.
Well, you're right in one sense. I would just say there's another sense here. There's the one thing that the liberals and this president is afraid of, and that's losing elections. We've got an election coming up. Every member needs to demand of their congressmen, their senators, where do you stand on this, and will you vote, actually vote, to stop the president from creating this new amnesty, which we can do by denying funds to execute that amnesty. And if he does it, it can be reversed by a same prohibition of spending any funds to execute a scheme of amnesty. And so I would just say the American people ultimately have an opportunity this election to insist that their representatives do what they ask, not what the president asks.
So you're pretty confident then that the Republicans in the Senate will take steps to reverse what Obama does?
Well, we're going to do in the Senate, and it's if the Democrats stick together, it won't happen. But we're going to demand a vote. We're going to demand a vote on the House-passed bill, which bars the president from expending any money to execute another 5 to 6 million person amnesty. That is perfectly legal and proper for Congress to do. And the question is, Harry Reid will attempt to block it. He will attempt to not have a vote. And so we're going to force a vote, and every member of Congress should be held to account. That's the only mechanism we have, the people have right now, to defend their interest, their desires against a president who's way beyond any lawful and responsible behavior.
Of course, the only problem with this is Obama would have to sign this, and your two leaders, Boehner and McConnell, have said they will not shut down the government. And so he'll say, look, you either take that out or I'm not signing this spending bill. I'm just telling you to think about that, because you guys got your work cut out with you, not with me, not with the audience, but with yourselves.
Well, what I'm saying is this, that we've got to put pressure on the elected representatives. Some people need to be defeated in November if they don't stand up and do what they can do. And that's the one message that will resonate in the White House, don't you think? If some people start losing seats over this, it's going to change the dynamics out there. And the American people, I think, are being engaged. I think they're becoming aroused. I think they are already cast some votes in elections that have shocked people. And some more of them would turn the tide in this, in my opinion, in the long run. It's not going to happen overnight.
Now, let me ask you this. Don't you think it's important if we have a Republican nominee for president who addresses this head on? That is, somebody who says, we're going to do what we can to reverse what this president has done for two reasons. It's bad immigration policy, and it's bad in terms of the rule of law. Don't we want a nominee who will say that?
Absolutely. You are exactly correct. And the American people and the American Republican voters, they need to know exactly where their candidates stand on this issue. And just those two questions, in my opinion, are the fundamentally key questions that you've announced. So I think we have every right to demand of our candidates where they stand on this issue. And if they are incorrect, they don't need to get the nomination of the Republican Party.
I'm a little confused about something, though. We have a Supreme Court that I'm getting an echo in my headphones, Rich. I don't know why. We have a Supreme Court that has ruled that the federal government has plenary power when it comes to immigration. Even worse, it's basically said the president does, even more than Congress. Then we have a governor of California. He's handing out driver's licenses and in-state tuition, and he's there with the president of Mexico in L.A., and they're both congratulating on each other that there's no border and so forth. How can it be, Senator, as a former U.S. attorney, a lawyer, a senator, a man who believes in the Constitution and the rule of law, how can it be that when a state seeks to enforce federal law, like Arizona, like Alabama, like South Carolina, like Pennsylvania, like Texas, that is said to be unconstitutional because of the federal government's plenary power? But when a state declares itself a sanctuary state and does all these other things violating federal law, nobody blinks.
That is a fabulous question. You're exactly right, and your listeners need to know that he's explained this precisely. We've got major cities in this United States that consider themselves sanctuary cities, will not even turn over illegal aliens who committed serious felonies to the federal government. Unbelievable. And so this is nurtured and acquiesced in by the Attorney General and the President. And that's exactly the wrong path. If we would state to the world with clarity, we're going to have a lawful, generous system of immigration that's going to treat people fairly. People can apply, and the people who meet the qualifications will be admitted, and they'll be admitted promptly and fairly. But we are not going to accept illegality and do not come unlawfully. If we do that, we'd surprise ourselves how quickly we could restore lawfulness. But right now, we've got to stand up to these cities and states that are taking positions that are utterly unjustifiable.
You know, I know it's moving. I know it.
I propose reducing their COPS grant or their other funding if they refuse to cooperate in the enforcement of the immigration laws.
Yeah, but it seems like the trajectory is always in one direction, you know. Now, let me ask you this. Why shouldn't it be, and I know it's money out of one pocket to the other, but states have budgets. Why shouldn't the federal government cover every single damn penny associated with immigration anarchy on the border, whether it's hospitals or schools or law enforcement and so forth? If this is so wonderful, and as if the pro-amnesty crowd is right, that this is an economic boon to the nation, well, then why doesn't the federal government pay for every damn penny?
Exactly. That's a very good point. And
I'm full of it tonight.
Well, it is out of control because there is no leadership in the top to alter the situation. A good, strong presidential and executive leadership, Attorney General, Homeland Security, can turn the tide in this in pretty rapid order. I just don't want people to give up and think it's hopeless. We can push back in these elections, and then we've got another election, and these candidates need to be inquired of with absolute clarity. Where do you stand?
Yes, this is a core issue. Last question, if I may. Have you ever seen an attorney general like this who just thumbs his nose at Congress, even though he was held in contempt by the House, who thumbs his nose at the rule of law, and as a matter of fact, seems like a special pleader for all these radical groups and so forth? I've never seen anything like this.
It is, the Attorney General symbolizes the august integrity of the American legal system. He must carry himself in that way, in my opinion, as one of the core functions of his office, and to see that the laws are fairly enforced and people who violate the laws are punished and people who are innocent are not punished. That's the kind of thing that we expect out of attorney generals, and they are not supposed to be political. And this attorney general, in my opinion, is the most political attorney general we've had in the history of the republic, I'm sure, certainly in my lifetime. And it's wrong, and it's eroding the confidence of the American people in law. It's eroding crime. You know, we feel the increase in crime, and it's just a really bad thing. And I just think you're essentially correct in saying that Attorney General has high duties, high responsibilities, and he must meet those, and he must symbolize an enforcement and fair enforcement of American law.
Well, Senator, you represent a state that has some of the best cooking in the country. I have to say this. Some of the best restaurants. I'm hungry now, can you tell? But anyway, what's that?
I'm impressed that you like our food. You've got good taste. I always thought that.
I like the barbecue especially, you know?
Yeah.
In Huntsville, Alabama, some of these, you can't start naming them because you'll be caught in the middle of a war there if you start doing that. But anyway, Gibson's. I like Gibson's. You ever been to Gibson's?
Decatur, yeah.
In Decatur? Oh, my
Nearby.
God.
Yeah, and I think maybe Huntsville, too, but they're in
Yes, both.
Yeah.
I can tell you. All right, Senator. God bless you, my friend.
All right, thank you.
And thank you, too. Let me tell you something. And I'm sure there are other good ones, too. But I'm telling you, Gibson's and their coleslaw, or as we say down there, their slaw, their pecan pie, oh, my Lord, their hush puppies. Mr. Producer, I'm a Philadelphia boy, but I can eat Alabama cooking.